diving in today, and this one's a doozy. We're talking Wilhelm Reich.
Wilhelm Reich, all right.
Yeah, a scientist who, get this, proposed that there's a universal life energy. Like, it's flowing through everything. And he called it Orgone.
Okay.
We're going off this article, Wilhelm Reich and the Orgone Accumulator. So I got to ask, universal life energy. Have you heard of this kind of thing before?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It pops up everywhere, throughout history, different cultures, like rice, orgone. It's got these echoes of in Chinese medicine.
Right.
That vital force in the body moving through meridians or even prana from Ayurveda connected to breath and vitality. It's fascinating. Reich, though, he thought you could, capture it, concentrate this energy.
And that's where the Orgone Accumulator comes in.
Right.
This thing sounds like something straight out of sci-fi. So how's it work? The article mentions, a box, but with layers of, get this, organic and metallic materials. What's the deal with that?
So Reich, he believed that those alternating layers, they could attract and hold orgone energy, pull it right from the environment. Imagine a battery, but instead of electricity, it's this life force, right?
Okay, I'm trying to picture this. Go on.
And the idea was if you sat inside this box, it'd improve your energy flow, get rid of blockages, even had, he claimed, positive effects on, your cells, your physical health.
Hold on. He thought you could cure stuff by sitting in a box.
That was the claim. He was making a direct connection between orgone, this energy, and well-being, both mental and physical.
That's a big claim. Now, remind me, how does psychoanalysis play into all this?
Right. So, Reich, he's coming from a background where libidinal energy, a term we usually associate with Freud, isn't just about sex, but this primal life force.
Uh-huh.
Freud's focusing on the mind, but Reich, he's saying this energy, this orgone, it's physical, affecting everything, your emotions, your health, everything. And this is key. Trauma, for him, it wasn't just in your head, it was a physical thing.
Yeah.
He believed those experiences, especially early in life, they created blockages in how this orgone flows through your body.
So leading to illness.
Yeah, both physical and mental. Get rid of the blockages, you heal, you reach a higher state of well-being.
So the accumulator, that was his way to kickstart the process.
Exactly. Bathe the body in concentrated orgone, jumpstart the healing. He wrote about all kinds of benefits, more energy, better sleep, even a stronger immune system. But, and this is a big but, the scientific community, they were skeptical, to say the least.
I bet. It all sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where I'm guessing the controversy comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to be known for something called the Orgone Accumulator without ruffling a few feathers, right? So how do people react to all this?
Well, the accumulator, especially those claims about curing diseases, it definitely got people's attention. But not always in a good way. The scientific community, they were, well, let's just say they weren't sold. And the media, forget about it.
Oh, yeah. The article mentions these two pieces, the new cult of sex and anarchy and the strange case of Wilhelm Reich. Just from the titles, I can tell they weren't exactly glowing endorsements.
Not exactly. You gotta remember, this is the 1950s, right? Conservative times. So Reich's ideas about sexual energy, his, let's say, unconventional therapies, they made him a target. Add in some good old-fashioned sensationalism, and, well, things got pretty wild. And then the FDA stepped in.
Right. The article mentions a whole legal battle with the FDA. What exactly did they take issue with?
They were focused on the Orgone Accumulator. Specifically, Reich's claims that it could treat diseases, serious stuff like cancer. The FDA saw it as, marketing a misbranded medical device, basically making claims he couldn't back up. And their job, right, is to protect public health. So they saw the accumulator as potentially dangerous, especially if people were skipping real, proven medical treatments to sit in this box.
So you've got Reich convinced he's on to this revolutionary healing energy, and the FDA saying, hold up, this is dangerous.
Exactly. Head-on collision. And that's where the legal battle really kicks off. In 1954, the FDA got an injunction against Reich, which meant he couldn't sell the accumulator, couldn't even give it away. They even ordered him to destroy the ones that already existed.
Wow, that seems extreme. What'd Reich do?
He fought back, big time. He thought the FDA was censoring him, trying to silence his ideas. He believed in his work that much. So he refused to go to court, said he'd defend himself through letters and legal filings instead. Didn't really work out too well. His associate ended up found in contempt of court for, not following that injunction. And then in 1956, Reich himself, he's imprisoned.
They put him in jail. over this?
Well, it was complicated. It wasn't just about the accumulator itself. It was his refusal to back down, to cooperate with the court, that defiance that landed him in prison. This whole thing, it was a clash of, ideologies almost. A maverick scientist going up against the establishment, challenging the rules, and the authorities trying to enforce those rules, protect people. It's a messy situation all around.
Wow. Talk about sticking to your guns. So he goes to prison for this. But what about his research? What happened to all that?
Well, Reich being Reich, he kept right on believing in his work, even in prison. Sadly, he died in his cell in 1957. Still a controversial figure right to the very end.
It's a tragic story, really.
Yeah.
So his research, all his writings, they just disappear after that.
Yeah, quite. See, Reich, he had this last act up his sleeve, so to speak. In his will, he ordered all his work sealed up for 50 years.
50 years. Why?
He figured the world just wasn't ready for his discoveries, too far out there. He was hoping, I guess, that people in the future, they'd be more open-minded.
A scientific time capsule. Kind of poetic, in a way. And, it makes you think, today we've got all this interest in energy healing, alternative therapies, stuff that the mainstream medical world used to scoff at.
Yeah, absolutely. Acupuncture, Qigong, Reiki, they're not so fringe anymore. A lot of people find real benefit in them. And they're all working with this idea of subtle energies flowing through the body. It's not that different from Reich's Orgone, even if the specifics don't line up exactly.
Right, like maybe he was onto something, just way ahead of his time. It's enough to make you wonder. Oh, and there's one more thing about Reich that I found wild. The article mentions that the FBI, they had a file on him. What's that all about?
Yeah, Reich, he definitely raised some eyebrows back then. This was the Cold War, remember? Unconventional ideas, they could get you labeled a communist pretty quickly. And Reich, he wasn't shy about criticizing, pretty much everything. So the FBI took an interest, thought maybe he was involved in something subversive, especially with those unorthodox views.
So the FDA is after him over the accumulator, and the FBI thinks he might be some kind of radical.
And here's the kicker, right? After a full investigation, the FBI, they concluded that Reich and his organization, they weren't doing anything subversive at all. The guys whose whole job is sniffing out threats to national security, they didn't see Reich's work as a danger, at least not in that way.
Wow. Talk about a mixed message. The FDA wants to shut him down, but the FBI gives him a clean slate. Just goes to show things aren't always so black and white, Different perspectives, different priorities. It can all get tangled up pretty quick. Anyway, got to hand it to Wilhelm Reich. He was definitely a character. Orgone Energy, the accumulator, run-ins with the FDA, investigations by the FBI. It's all pretty wild. Makes you realize that the pursuit of knowledge, especially when it challenges the status quo, can lead down some pretty interesting paths. What do you think? You ever stumbled across any research that seemed, too out there, only to find out later that maybe there was more to it than meets the eye?